Hi, I'm Cam Carmichael. I'm the product manager for Geocortex Mobile, and today we're going to explore how to use mmpks in your field apps. Let's get started. In the last few releases of Geocortex Mobile, we've been building out support for apps which reference an mmpk, with the option of including data from a web map. This pattern gives app authors greater flexibility if they want to combine infrequently updating reference data with more frequently updated operational layers. To start, let's take a quick look at the data that we'll be working with. I've got here a map loaded in ArcGIS Pro, which contains a fairly simple set of layers: hydrants, buildings, water lines, and a neighborhoods layer. We're going to build a hydrant inspection app, so I've split the data into two maps, one with the reference data, the water lines, the buildings, and the neighborhoods, and one with the hydrants and associated inspection tables. I'll go ahead and I'll use the sharing capabilities in Arc Pro to share my mobile map package, which we'll name Tech Tip for mmpk, and I will then share a web map similarly named. I chose to publish my files to ArcGIS Online. I could have as easily published to a portal, and we can see here that the mobile map package, the web map, the feature layer, and service definition now become portal items that I can work with. Let's go ahead now and jump into the Geocortex Mobile Designer and build an app that's based on that mmpk. Oh, and before we do, let me jump back and look at the feature layer. It's important that we go into settings for this feature layer and enable editing. That'll now allow data editing, and enable sync. That'll allow that feature layer to work offline and sync changes. Go ahead and save those changes and then head back into Geocortex Mobile Designer and create our app. So I'm going to start here by creating a link to the web map in the map component, and further down here in the mobile map package section, I will select the mmpk that we generated. Before we make any other changes to our app, let's go ahead and save it, CamC Tech Tip, and load it up in Geocortex Go and see what we've got so far. I've got Geocortex Go running here on another screen, and I've refreshed it to pull up the CamC Tech Tip app. And you can see that when I go ahead and launch it, the program now recognizes that this app is backed by an mmpk and gives me the option to go ahead and download it right within the app. So no more side loading if you follow this pattern of portal hosting your mmpk. I'll go ahead and continue. We'll wait for a quick download. And now when I launch this app, you'll see that I have the mmpk data. That was the neighborhood layer. If I zoom in, we'll see buildings and water lines. But I've got that all bundled together with the operational layer that I wanted, the hydrants layer. Of course, I want my field workers to be working with this hydrants layer when they're disconnected. So if I go to map areas, we'll see that there's no map areas available. That's because when we were back in ArcGIS Online, we didn't actually create any predefined map areas associated with the web map. Let's go ahead and do that now. Just wait for that to load. We'll go into settings for the web map. We'll enable offline mode, and we'll go ahead and manage areas. We won't wait for this whole thing to get packaged for the sake of a demo, but I will go ahead and create a new map area, which I'll call downtown. I will set the layer, and I'll just go ahead and save that. ArcGIS Online goes ahead and packages it, and I'll just pause the recording here until it's done. Okay, and it looks like the package has completed. So I will go back to Geocortex Go, where we were last looking and saw that no map areas were available. I'll go ahead and hit F5 to refresh this app, or choose I want to refresh app from the I want to menu. And when it comes back, now if I look in map areas, we'll see that there is a map area available to us. I'll go ahead and download that. And when it's complete, I can go ahead and activate that map area. And I'm now working with a section of my hydrant data that is coming from the web maps map area, while still looking at the reference data that is coming from the MMPK. While my field workers are disconnected and working with this map, of course, they can go ahead, they can perform an identify on this hydrant, they could edit the attributes of it, they could go ahead and create a new survey or create a new attachment for it. It's also worth noting that instead of creating the predefined map area within ArcGIS Online, I could have left it up to my field workers to go ahead and add their own custom area, which they could name and set the detail level for, and they could potentially create a buffered line or a polygon or a simple basic shape for that. Okay, so what if my MMPK has a lot of layers in it, and I don't want them to be included in searches, I don't want identify to be turned on for them? How do I manage that? In order to get there, we're going to need to create layer extensions for the layers within your MMPK. And currently the pattern for doing that is to go ahead and find the MMPK, your portal item, and to download it onto your disk. I'll go ahead and save that into a Tech Tip folder, and we'll wait for that to finish. And when it does, we'll go ahead and we'll jump into Windows Explorer. Now, the MMPK file itself is just a zip file. We can go ahead and rename the extension on it to .zip, and we can go ahead and extract it to the folder that it's in. And what this will let us do is jump into Geocortex Mobile Designer, go ahead and select a file, and go into that folder that we just unpacked, into the P14 folder within it, and in there is a thing called an mmap file. This is the file where all of the layers are defined within your MMPK. So once that's been imported, by default, we're going to disable identify and search for all the layers. Maybe for the neighborhoods and buildings, I want them to show up in search. I can go ahead and save that. And this is the layer extension part of creating an MMPK. So the final thing we're going to do is quickly look at what happens when the data in your MMPK gets updated. To do that, we're going to jump back to Arc Pro and let's make a change to our MMPK. This is the MMPK map. Let's go ahead and change the symbology for this neighborhoods layer. That'll be something that's very clearly visible to us. And let's go ahead and share as mobile map package. Again, I'm going to export it to my ArcGIS Pro account, and it's important that I keep that same name. I'll go ahead and package, and it asks me if I want to replace the existing one. I'm going to go ahead and say yes, and I'll pause the recording until that's finished. And with the package now generated, I'm going to go ahead and jump all the way back to Geocortex Mobile, which we left in this state, which still, of course, has the symbology for the neighborhood layers that we loaded. If I hit F5 again now to refresh this, what we're going to see happen is we're going to recognize that there's a new version of that MMPK, and we're going to ask a field worker to, do you want to download it? It's not a required download, it's optional because we could continue to work with the old set of reference data, but we will go ahead and download the latest. And when we launch the app, you will see now that my symbology has changed. That could be obviously any change to the data that you make in your MMPK. And I think we'll wrap this video here. Obviously, we could have carried on and created any number of customizations to our app, including workflows which reference the MMPK and web map layers. But for anyone wanting to combine web maps and MMPKs, I hope this quick tip has been helpful. Thanks for watching.